Welcome back to Office Hours Weekly Question and Answer number 3. Hi, I'm Mike Rekola, and this is the NonDē Filmmaking Legal Lab. I'm here to be an educational resource for the next 15 minutes. So first, I'll lay the rules of the road down for everyone. I'm an attorney, but I am not your attorney. Nothing we say here creates an attorney-client relationship. This is for educational guidance and for educational guidance purposes only, as well as for the independent film community. If you have any specific legal questions, please hire local counsel. We're dealing strictly in hypotheticals today. Please do not share any personal or sensitive information. It's best to keep those questions hypothetical rather than asking direct questions about direct people. Finally, if you'd like to ask a question, feel free to type it in the chat, or if you want to come up on stage, please feel free to use the hand emoji and I will bring you up on stage. When you do, please introduce yourself. Give us a quick little bit about yourself, your film you're working on, log line, and please affirmingly state that you understand that this is for educational purposes only and no attorney-client relationship is formed. So let's dive in and look at if there's anyone in here. Hi, Jen. I know we have a meeting later, but I just wanted to say hi. All right. It looks like there is no questions queued up in the chat on the legal forum, as well as none in the board today. So that usually means two things. One of two things, excuse me. You guys are executing perfectly and you have zero problems, which is highly unlikely. Or some of you might actually be in analysis paralysis. So if you saw this week, I dropped the option agreement, and instead of using it, you might have froze. You might have thought, I don't have a writer yet, or I don't have $500. So since no one's asking questions, I'm going to answer some questions you should be asking. Why do I need an option agreement, especially if I'm just filming a script with my friend? Well, there's a lesson in there. Here's a quick scenario. I see every once in a while, friends get together. It's two buddies. One writes the script, one decides to direct. They shake hands and they go out and shoot a movie. They might shoot it for a very low sum, but then 2 years later, the movie gets into a festival and then maybe into another festival, and a distributor offers you, say, 10K, 20K. Suddenly, one of the creators remembers that handshake deal probably differently. They want, 50% of the gross now instead of the net. They want executive producer credit. They could want any number of things because you didn't iron out the details in the beginning. Because you don't have an option or a purchase agreement signed, they have the power to kill any deal. So the lesson here is the option agreement isn't about paying strangers. It's about defining the relationships with your friends while you're still friends and still colleagues. So if you downloaded the template this week, look at clause 8. There is a no injunctive relief clause. That is kind of what we call our friendship saver. It says if we fight about money, but we don't stop the movie. You can't, no matter what happens at any disagreement, you can't prevent it from being released. If you do nothing else this week, get your co-writer or your co-collaborator to figure out what the option in the purchase agreement is and try and get that to filled out. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone. If anyone has any question, please put the hand emoji into the chat. A couple quick disclaimers. I'm a lawyer, but I am not your lawyer. This is for educational purposes only. And please do not use any sensitive information if you do have any questions. Pivoting now, one quick reminder I want to pass along to everyone is now having that contract signed that I mentioned, the option agreement is just step 1, but knowing where to put it is step 2. So this brings us to February 16th. In 2 Mondays from now, February 16th, I am launching the new challenge for the lab, the February Clean Title Spread Challenge. We're going to spend 7 days cleaning out hard drives. We're going to take that option agreement, your crew deal memos, and your location release. We're going to build a chain of title that is audit-proof. If you're messy, you're vulnerable, and I want you to become bulletproof. So there's one question in the chat from Jen that says, hypothetically, should you do an option agreement if no money is exchanged? The way a contract works is you need to have mutual assent, which is the understanding between the two parties, and then you need to have consideration. So you don't necessarily need to have cash as a form of consideration. A consideration can be the fact that you will both receive publicity for work on this film to help grow your careers. So even if no cash is really exchanged, I would still put in that there is consideration formed so that the contract can be interpreted as legally binding. A lot of times, what people will do is, um, with families, say a grandmother is giving a house to a family member and they don't want to sell it to them. They want them to just give it to them. They will give them a simple contract for $1, and the consideration be $1 and love. So you're not going to do consideration of love with a co-collaborator, but one way to do that is for credit or for publicity. So I hope that answers your question, Jen. But generally, it's always good to have some form of consideration, whether that be for services, for publicity, for any number of reasons. But I always like to put in a dollar amount plus those other reasons, even if it's just $1. Does anybody have any other questions? We're going to be here for another couple minutes. But if no one does have any questions, we'll wrap up a little bit earlier. So I'll leave the room open for another 2 minutes or so. A couple other things we can talk about is we've also launched the NonDē Film Starter Pack, which has a talent release. It has a crew deal memo. It has a location release, and it has a 10-step PDF checklist to look at before you start production. So if you're looking to get yourself organized and looking to get all your contracts in a row, I would highly suggest you look at that as an educational resource. Each one of those, all three of the crew deal memo, the release, talent release, and location release, each have their own video walkthrough where I highlight the various drafting notes and important clauses that you need to watch out for. Are there any last minute questions? I'll give it another minute. If not, I'll start the wrap up. So here's homework for everyone for this weekend is to download the option agreement from the post that I shared on Monday. Even if you don't need it today, save it, file it away, learn about it, get used to having it. And then the second one is clear your desktop. Get ready for the sprint on the 16th. I'm going to ask people to post screenshots of their folder structures. So don't be the person with new folder number 2 for their organizational structures when we do the clean title of sprint. I will see you all next week at office hours on Wednesday at 2:05 p.m. Feel free to leave any questions in next week's chat, which I'll be posting after this call. And finally, remember the NonDē Filmmaking Legal Lab exists to be an educational resource. We are lawyers, but we are not your lawyer. No attorney-client relationship is formed. Please use it at your own risk. Now go out there, get to work, and thanks for tuning in this week. Have a great one, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.